What's up, YouTube? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and this is my quick review of the JJPro X2. On my box it says X2G, but the G stands for 5.8 gigahertz FPV, but I didn't get that version, so I don't know why it says that on the box. But this is the JJPro X2, part 2 of the JJRC X1. JJRC has changed their name to JJPro. They're using that now. And for starters, the JJRC X1 had some issues, man. Y'all was a little mushy, and it had a problem with the transmitter recalibrating in mid-air. If you go to the right, if you do right funnels or right bank turn for too long, it'll recalibrate in mid-air and your aircraft will fall out of the sky. But they have made some improvements on this. First off, let's get to what's the same still. On the box here, it says it has D1806 2280 kV motors, brushless. Those are the same as the old ones. And it's 7.4 volts, 12 milliamp hour batteries. Same as the old one, I think, still. Or the old one might have been 1300 milliamp hours, but pretty much the same. Now, what they did improve on is they did fix that yaw problem. So this thing has no problem with yaw. It stops upon you letting off the input. It stops immediately. So no yaw problems with this one. And also the transmitter does not recalibrate in mid-air. So this thing doesn't fall out of the sky on you. They did improve it. They did change the look. As you can see, this thing looks like it's a half Hubsan, half Unique. I like this thing. Either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. I just happen to think that it's good. I like it. It's different. And the landing gear, they improved on the landing gear a little. It's still a little bouncy, but they widened it out. It's wider now, so it doesn't tip over as much. Hardly ever tips over. It bounces a little when it lands, though. The old JJRC X1 used to flip over a lot and bounce a lot. So they fixed that. So this thing has a lot of improvements. They also fixed the LED lighting. The LED lighting on the old one was bad, and you couldn't see the LVC warning, and the LVC warning wasn't long enough. Well, this thing here has a long LVC, long enough for you to get it back to yourself and more. Upwards of what? I think it was 12 seconds or something like that. Anyhow, you got plenty of time. You have plenty of time to get it back to yourself. The lights are really bright, and you can see them in the daytime even. Awesome night flying, and it has a headlight here in the front, so no messing up your orientation because of the lights. The lights really help you in night flying especially. So this thing has a bunch of improvements. It's leaps and bounds ahead of the X1. I like it a lot. I like it better than the X1. It's still on the same protocol, but I think the aileron is reversed. So deviation compatibility makes this thing even more awesome. I really love the way this thing flies on deviation. And there's a separate channel on deviation they're using a different channel to recalibrate, so you have to set that up to a switch. That's probably the way that the old X1 was, because I could never get it to recalibrate the accelerometers with the deviation transmitters that I use. So I guess that's what it was. It was on a different channel. I just had to find it. It's on one of the higher channels too. I think the last channel, the 12th channel or something like that. So yeah, this thing is a really awesome little flyer. I did stick a 3S battery in the JJRC X1. I didn't try that with this one. This one flies with just as much power as the X1. The X1 was notorious for having a lot of power and speed, being a really sporty model. This thing is the same. It's a really sporty model, a lot of power with it. It's only on 2S, but it still has power and speed. It's very quiet. The old X1 was very quiet. This thing continues the tradition. It's very quiet with these 6-inch props on it. Same props as the old ones, and this thing is very quiet, especially when you put 6-inch tri-blades on it. That was the sweet spot with the X1. Same thing holds true for this one. Put 3-bladed props on this thing, 6 inches, and it's very quiet. It handles very well, seems to get more stable. Loses a little bit of power because it's less efficient with the 3-bladed props, and you lose speed and you lose flight time, but that's the trade-off for stability though. I'm thinking about taking these landing gear off though, and I'm going to do a similar mod to what I did to the X1. Put little foam landing feet on the bottom of the motor pods there, and just remove the landing gear, have it low, and it's going to be very low to the ground and sleek looking. Just an awesome quad though this is. I really like it. The transmitter almost looks identical to the transmitter of the old JJRC X1. This thing doesn't have headless mode or any of those fancy things that don't really mean anything to hardcore flyers. Just good old classic hardcore flying with this one, and I really like it. Let's go over the transmitter real quick, and all of these are trim buttons. Nothing different. They're all trims. This is your aileron trim. This is your elevator trim here, and this is your throttle trim. The idle speed can be adjusted by this. When you start the motors spinning, you can go up on this and get the idle speed of the motors to go up higher, and that gives it more power when you're flying too. And this is your yaw trim here. This here is your speed button. It has 3 speeds on it, and the pitch and everything on it is very deep. On the highest rate, on the mid rates, the pitch is pretty decent too, but the yaw is a little slower, and the lowest rate of course is docile and everything. This here is the start and stop the motors. If you hold it down for I think 2 seconds, it's the emergency stop. This thing will fall out of the sky, so I don't recommend doing that. I don't know why someone want to do that. Maybe if it was heading towards some water and they didn't know how to fly it or whatever, a beginner, maybe they should hold that down and let it fall down in the grass. So it comes with an extra set of spare props and prop guards. I never took the prop guards and put them on. They're still in the box. You can see them on the back of the box there. And the instructions manual is in nice illustrated color pictures and all, but it, you notice I said but, this thing has a bunch of Chinese mixed in with the English. So a bunch of Chinese mixed in with the English, so not all that great, but it does tell you what you need to know in here, so you can get flying with this thing. So, and that's it. The JJRC, well, not JJRC anymore, the JJPro X2. This thing is a great improvement over the X1. Awesome little quad. Thanks for watching.